Hello everyone, this is Ange. Welcome to another episode of the Visual Novel Monthly Recap. This is a video series where I highlight news related to major visual novel releases in the community for each month. We'll be talking about what happened in October of 2019 in this video. Let's get started. The remake of You Know, A Girl Who Chants Love at the Bound of This World got released on Steam, PS4, and Switch. You Know is apparently one of the most influential media in Japan, where it influenced visual novels as well as anime and manga. As far as this remake goes, I've heard it makes the gameplay aspects a lot more streamlined, it has more modern art, and is a lot easier to install than the original version. However, I did hear that the translation isn't quite as good as the original, but at least seems to be tolerable. So whichever version you pick is just based on your preferences. There was also a bug where some readers couldn't get past a certain event in the prologue. That got a patch to fix that shortly after. Vault Milestone 1 has gotten released on the Switch. If you're interested in a science fantasy kinetic novel with a unique setting for a VN on the Switch, be sure to check this out. Phase 1 of Kokonia When They Cry has been released on Steam by Manga Gamer, as well as being released on Manga Gamer's own site. I haven't read it myself yet, but I've heard nothing but good things from the Ryukishi fans that I know. However, the only thing I know is that this is definitely not a murder mystery like Higurashi and Umineko, so don't go into this VN expecting stories like those. Apparently, the story takes more cues from Rose Gun's days being politics and action-oriented. After several years of no updates, we finally got an update that the Tsukihime remake is currently going through test playing through the Fate Grand Order Japanese Twitter of all places. I personally still wouldn't expect it anytime soon, but it's nice to know that the project isn't dead for people looking forward to it like myself. Amaterasu Riddlestar got released by Manga Gamer. Soft House Seal is a company that usually develops nukige or porn-focused visual novels like Ultimate Boob Wars, which was also localized by Manga Gamer. Amaterasu was made by a sister brand of Soft House Seal called Seal Qualia and seems to be made as a moege. So if you ever wanted to read a moege story with Soft House Seal's art, be sure to check this out. Sekai Project released How to Raise a Wolf Girl, developed by Sweet and Tea. Kimono Mimi, or Animal Girls, continues to be a fad in visual novels, so be sure to check this out if you're into that. Yorhel, the creator of VNDB, has started a Patreon to help him get funds and time to work on some improvements he's been planning for the site. If you don't know what VNDB is, it's a site where users can find information, summaries, and release dates for visual novels, as well as being able to create profiles and rate visual novels out of 10. Currently, the Patreon tiers allow to have some combination of removing the Patreon ad on the site, having a star next to your username, being able to show your CSS profile design to the public, or setting a custom display name, depending on how much you pledge. Some improvements Yorhel wants to implement include a more modern, mobile-friendly design, user reviews, translator credits, custom title language, and more. So far, he surpassed his first goal of $400+, which means he's guaranteed to work at least one day a week on VNDB development. If you're interested in seeing VNDB improvements after it not being touched for almost 10 years, make sure to donate. I know I will. Nekonyan announced that Senran Banka is being pushed back to a December release after talking with Ubisoft. It looks like this will be their main focus, as they said they're also going to push back their other visual novel releases. Fang is yet another visual novel company in Japan that declared bankruptcy. None of their VNs seemed too popular or known in the West, but Sekai Project did announce that they're localizing Kanojo no Seiki from them earlier this year. This bankruptcy announcement once again brought up the potential decline of the visual novel industry, at least in Japan. Manga Gamer released F, the First and Latter Tale on Steam, when it had only been on Manga Gamer's site for the longest time. They also released an English version of Killjoy Hunter Yuko for Steam, which appears to be a platformer game that takes place after F, the Latter Tale. Fans of Minori or romance drama should be sure to check this series out. Sekai Project announced their Kickstarter for Rewrite Plus to fund and localize the digital and physical versions of this visual novel. They're also offering various physical goods like guidebooks, soundtracks, and potentially more, just like their previous Kickstarters. As of this recording, they've surpassed $100,000, which is just a little over half of what the total goal is, which is $180,000. Steiner, a very popular translator who has done titles like Dies Irae and Raging Loop, announced that he'll be continuing where Conjure left off. As a big rewrite and KOTORI Kanbei fan myself, suffice to say I'm very excited for this Kickstarter and can't wait for people who have been holding off on reading the original to read this version. And I can't wait for an English translation of Harvest Festa to exist. Finally, just keep in mind for people who read the original that there will be a few name changes to match the original Japanese spellings, like the use of Shizuru instead of Shizuru in the original fan translation. Sekai Project released Nekonin X Heart 3 by Whirlpool. If you're someone who's into them cat girls, consider looking into this VN. This is an announcement that was about a few months old but never got posted. But Overdrive changed the name for their last visual novel they're going to release from Musica to Musicus. They also released Musicus' cover art and confirmed they'll be releasing it in Japan on December 20th, 2019. Since Manga Gamer has localized previous Overdrive works like Kira Kira, Dear Drops, and the upcoming Bokuten, I wouldn't be surprised if Musicus gets a localization soon after the Japanese release. Age released a bombshell of an announcement for the MuvLuv series. They're making MuvLuv Unlimited the day after sequel, which was previously released as episodes as part of the MuvLuv Alternative Chronicles series. They're creating a reboot of the Kimi ga Nozomi Ein visual novel. The only things we know about this are that they're updating the game system and trying to make something that will join up to the MuvLuv series. They're also creating a game called Project Mikhail, which is a MuvLuv action game where the player can control the TSF mechs. It will release in 2021 on PC, iOS, and Android, and will have Japanese, English, and Chinese versions. The team will include people who worked on the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm series, Ogre Battle 64, and Final Fantasy, and will supposedly not have any gacha or loot boxes, but may have subscriptions or battle passes. There's also going to be a MuvLuv Integrate visual novel, which will be a proper sequel to Alternative, and will signify everything being brought together. Finally, they announced that there's going to be an anime adaptation of MuvLuv Alternative. No clue if there will be an anime of MuvLuv Extra and Unlimited. Considering how big this news is and how well MuvLuv did on the Kickstarter, I think it's fair to say that we can expect most, if not all of these announcements to have English release sometime in the future. There was more recent controversy about the localization industry when Otto Naru, the translator for various Rance games and other works, officially announced he'd stopped working for Manga Gamer due to them abruptly backing out of a deal regarding payment for Rance 10. In his twit longer, he talked about how pay rates for Manga Gamer are quite low, like how translators start at 1 cent per character and editors at half a cent per character, and Manga Gamer generally exploiting workers. I've seen many fans and people who work in the industry completely agree with him, while others point out things like how visual novels don't sell well and how Otto Naru accepted the rates that he got paid. I also saw Steiner point out that Otto Naru's characters per day wasn't the usual average, and that low pay is part of how the VN market continues to exist. And then there is Zahoffen from Soul Press, who claims that freelancers have exploited companies as much as companies have exploited workers. Jast released Amaya Kase, Spoiling My Silver-Haired Girlfriend, a visual novel from a brand new company called Monoceros Plus, at the same time as a Japanese release. It appears to be a very short romance Nukige visual novel. Lemnesca's Kickstarter to localize Compass of De Gracia unfortunately failed, and they do not plan to continue to localize it at this time. It's unfortunate we won't get what was supposedly a tribute to Ever 17 in English. Finally, speaking of crowdfunding, it was announced that a Japanese crowdfunding campaign for an anime adaptation of World End Economica, a visual novel by Spicy Tales, will begin in mid-November. The writer of Economica is actually the same one who made the Spice and Wolf series, so if you're interested in seeing an anime that may likely have similar writing to the Spice and Wolf series, be sure to consider donating to this campaign if it's possible for Westerners to do. And that wraps up all the news for this month. If you have any feedback, positive or negative, be sure to leave a comment below or contact me through one of my social medias that I list in the description. See you all next month.